We're only a couple of days away from the NFL draft. So we thought, you know what? We did this for the Super Bowl. We did it for free agency. Why not do this for the draft, Gilbert, where we preview and maybe ask some questions that should be asked by every team. No team is ever perfect. Not even the Kansas City Chiefs are perfect. So why don't we start off with the NFC East, Gilbert? A lot of people thought last year it's going to be the the NFC least. It was actually a pretty competitive division. What says you?
Yeah, it definitely was. And you know what? We could start with the Giants because they actually surprised a lot of people. Speaking about
Yeah.
the NFC East, like they came out of nowhere. Daniel Jones got paid. They made the playoffs with Brian Dable, but we shouldn't be surprised because Brian Dable is a good coach and they turned it around. But yeah, it is an improved division. We'll get into like the Commanders are pretty good. They need a quarterback, I think.
When
The
Stephon Diggs
Cowboys,
sometimes tweets out stuff, I think he's secretly talking about that he
Brian Dable.
misses Brian Dable.
Yeah, he definitely does. And what else? We got the Cowboys who are always kind of in the mix but can't get over the hump. And then obviously the Eagles defending NFC champions. So it's actually pretty good. Like, yeah, and I think about it going all four is a pretty good
Yeah.
division here.
No, it really isn't. Like you said, it's competitive. So let's start off with the Giants. Like you said, Brian Dable, offense. You know what? You got to give Danny Dimes credit with what he didn't have last year. Everyone thought Kenny Golladay was going to be the number one receiver when they gave him that 5-year, $75 million contract. He hasn't been it. They cut him. They've been trying to do it, mixing and matching with some other receivers. They traded for Darren Waller. They signed Paris Campbell, to name a few. They have Sterling Shepard and Wan'Dale Robinson, but I feel like they need a true number one, Gilbert. Yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson. But Gilbert, do you feel like they need more weapons for Danny Dimes?
Yeah, like the guys you mentioned, like they have a lot of like cool dudes, like but no legit number one.
They have a lot of 3s, 4s,
Yeah,
guys like that.
and the weird thing is like Shepard, Campbell, Darius Slayton. By the way, these are all like down the field guys, but they don't really have and even Wan'Dale Robinson. He's a speedy guy, so they have a lot of guys who could get down the field for Daniel Jones. But how about some guys that get open right away, or just get a bona fide true number one receiver? Maybe they're saving that spot for Stephon Diggs for now. You're starting that rumor there for next year, whenever he gets frustrated again and throws a helmet at Josh Allen. Actually, don't do that, by the way, Stephon Diggs. But yes, to answer the question, they do need a true number one receiver. So I think they're in the back end. Think of the first round, not middle, but more like the 20s, right? I should remember that because I did the research here and I didn't do that. But the spot that they're in, it's not a good year for wide receivers, by the way, Fernando. So maybe they could fall in the 20s, and the teams that made the playoffs might stumble on a good receiver. So if you get like a Jackson Smith and Jigba, hopefully I got that right. I think Jackson with an X. This guy's a possession receiver. Gets open, moves the chains. Like if you got so many guys just going one way down the field, and I know you got Darren Waller, how about go get that guy like that? What do you think, Fernando?
No, I think I saw that Jackson is one of only, I think, 2 receivers that a lot of general managers have a first round grade on. Now, obviously, we're at the time where everything's smoke and mirrors, but hey, maybe they try, if that doesn't work, maybe they go get DeAndre Hopkins to help out with that offense. You never know.
Draft day trade.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So exactly. So that's another thing that they could end up doing. But obviously they need help at corner, at safety, but I definitely think that wide receiver is a spot that they needed to fix, because like we said, if Daniel Jones was able to do what he did last year, put up those numbers, imagine if he had more help at the receiver position, then he'll definitely be able to flourish. And a lot of people won't be questioning and scratching their heads asking, does he deserve the contract that he got? People, exactly like you are right now, people know that he deserved the contract extension that he got. And that'll definitely be key. But Gilbert, moving on now, the team that doesn't, that never let us down. They always have some kind of fireworks show. They'll do something crazy. But Gilbert, now that they lost Dalton Schultz, should the Cowboys focus on Michael Mayer and Dalton Kincaid, since they lost Dalton Schultz during free agency?
Yeah, I thought you were going to start off by saying the team that never leaves the second round. They're always stuck in the cycle of like getting to the wild card second round. They haven't been to the NFC Championship game since 1995 or whatever. We're little
kids. Hey, remember
there.
Last year? They drafted some offensive lineman, and Jerry Jones like, look, we had a first round grade on him, and he shows the whole paperwork, and Mike's like, hey Jerry, don't show that. Like the most awkward crap.
I kind of like that you're showing the draft board. By the way, the Cowboys actually have a good reputation of getting these unknown guys. Like ever since they told Jerry Jones slow down and trying to get every wide receiver, he got CeeDee Lamb that worked out. But like Zach Martin and then Tyler Smith, right, the guy from I want to say like I don't want to butcher the college, but he was a left tackle who was not supposed to be a first round pick. So they get it right. And yeah, there's always a couple that you get right in the draft, Fernando, where it's always like the number one you get right, and then a couple that are just too much like smoke there. That's actually real smoke. When you lose Dalton Schultz, supposedly Jerry Jones was really enamored with Michael Mayer, your boy from South Bend. That long stint you had. So I say, yeah, go get a guy like that who's a blocker, receiver, does everything for you because you lost Dalton Schultz, and maybe that's the reason why you let him walk because you saw the draft.
I mean, the thing is, I feel like, and you keep on hearing it, that the Cowboys want to get back to running the football. Well, there's two ways you're going to be able to do that. It's replacing the offensive line, because the offensive line is going to start needing work now. And I thought they were going to do it last year with drafting Zion Johnson. They didn't do it. I thought a couple of years ago they might draft Rashawn Slater, and because they jumped in front of the Chargers, and they ended up getting Micah Parsons. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if they went tight end. But knowing Jerry Jones, Bijan Robinson from Texas, why not take him there? You get the flash player, you get the Ezekiel Elliott 2.0. You bring the flash, you get all the, you know how Jerry Jones is. So I wouldn't put it past Jerry if he ended up doing that, Gilbert.
Tyler Smith from Tulsa. I knew I had it right in my head. I had to double check.
There you go.
He was a good left tackle last year.
Definitely keep your eye out on that. Now let's go to the Eagles, Gilbert. Should the Eagles prioritize defense with their first round pick? Especially because obviously they lost a lot of key pieces from the defense, and their defense didn't not have a good showing during the Super Bowl, and they said goodbye to Javon Hargrave, CJ Gardner-Johnson, and TJ Edwards.
Yeah, I think so. I think that their offense is good. We obviously locked down Jalen Hurts. They got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and I know the offensive line needs a little more tweaking, but they're always going to be solid. I feel like so. Maybe a running back, maybe Bijan Robinson. I would love to see that, Fernando. But no, go defense. And I think Howie Roseman lets these guys walk away because he trusts that he could find talent. He has an eye for especially defensive linemen. Like they're always loaded up top. This front here is always like it comes in waves. Like you got the two guys like Fletcher Cox and Graham were like a rotational guys, and that's why Reddick and Hargrave did so well. But let me give you a couple names here. You got Nolan Smith from Georgia. Maybe Jalen Carter falls. I feel like Eagles will take him. He's number 10. Lucas Van Ness, Miles Murphy. So there's edge rushers to be had at number 10. I think they go that route.
And don't forget, last year they drafted the kid out of, where was he? Was he from Georgia too? That big kid,
Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis. Can you imagine if they got Jalen Carter and they had Jordan Davis to both plug up the middle?
Like I bet he's ready to go now. Like they were planning ahead, and that guy's probably now ready to like
exactly. So, and you know that he learned a lot from a lot of the players that they had. They had Ndamukong Suh at the end of the year. They had a lot of guys there that you could definitely learn from.
It was quite a rookie year, but I think it's going to be good.
Exactly. I agree with you. Pass rush is where they need to go. You need to get after the quarterback, especially some of the quarterbacks that they have in their division. I think that's what made them a good team last year. I think that's what they need to go at this year. They need to go get after the quarterback.
70 sacks.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you need to get after the quarterback. This is going to be the way to do it. Go get an edge rusher. Gilbert, our compa and Ron Rivera. Obviously, his Washington Commanders, they weren't bad last year, Gilbert. It feels like they're literally a quarterback away from being a solid team. So my question to you is, should the Commanders take Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, or Hendon Hooker if one of them is available at 16?
Yeah, I know Ron Rivera has a lot on his plate as a new boss now. He has to impress new people there. So he's ready to take command. You like that, Fernando? For the Commanders, I like to say that a lot. So you can't really go into a season with Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett. I think he saw what happened with Carson Wentz, and he tried getting Ryan Fitzpatrick. Remember, we were there. He got hurt that week 1 against the Chargers. So I think if those guys are there, you got to do it. You got to, you know what? Go with the talent. And I know he doesn't have time on his side because it's about to be year 4. But sometimes, it's okay to let the franchise be set up for success. But yeah, go after those guys over there.
Yeah, you need to be able to do that, and you have Eric Bieniemy now as your offensive coordinator.
Give him a fair shake.
Maybe he can help develop one of these young guys. And remember, with a new boss coming in, Ron may have a little bit more time. He might not have the short clock that maybe Daniel Snyder had him on. Maybe he restarts everything, especially because we all know he's a veteran in this league. People like him, and he's Riverboat Ron for a reason. So I'd say, yeah, pull the trigger and let Eric Bieniemy kind of see what he has in one of these young guys. But
can we get a bonus? Like, say Richardson's gone, is between Levis and Hooker. What do you take?
Hooker.
Okay, there you go. Hendon Hooker. He's actually a very accurate pocket passer, but he's injured.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd go with Hooker. Well, Levis, there's something about him, but
the whole banana.
We appreciate you guys checking this out. Don't forget, be on the lookout for the rest of the videos. We'll be doing every single division, asking the tough questions on every division as we preview this heading into the 2023 draft. That will be in good old Kansas City with that good old barbecue. But again, guys, don't forget to be on the lookout for that stuff. We appreciate you guys. Don't forget, be a compa, tell a compa about what the compas are doing.